Fun, crazy. It's painful, but it's wonderful. What is the name?
It's Reusse Unchained.
All right, Patrick.
Okay.
Did you watch the entire?
Before we start tearing into everybody and talking about this disastrous weekend, I gotta be in my bonnet here.
Okay.
So, YouTube is my streaming carrier, right? They're the ones I got all the channels from. I don't know how it is with other channels. But on this, the one team that provided some entertainment and competence this weekend was the Gophers hockey team, right? The Gophers hockey team.
Yep.
So occasionally on YouTube TV there, you can watch St. Cloud State play hockey on FS7 or some damn thing. Where do you watch Gopher hockey now? You can't. It's impossible to watch Gopher hockey. It's not on Bally, whatever we call Bally now, FanDuel. It's not on there. What happened to Gopher hockey? You can't watch the games if it's not on the Big Ten Network.
Yeah.
Which it is occasionally.
Yep.
Their games aren't on, and they're not on during the football season.
They're on. The home games a lot of times are on Fox 9 Plus, which is where the St. Cloud games are. But on the road, like this weekend, you have to subscribe to Big Ten Plus.
I'm not doing that. I'm not
either.
subscribing on Big Ten Plus. The hell with it.
I
Anyway,
didn't either.
what do they want? 8, 9 in a row? Nobody can see them.
8 in a row, and the winning goal on Saturday. Did you see it?
No,
it's on Twitter.
How could I see it? How could I
Snuggerud
possibly
saucer pass, and the kid knocks it out of the air and in, and then taunts the student section.
Snuggy Jr.?
Well, yeah, no, but the kid that scored the goal, he got the pass, but the pass was a saucer, so it's up in the air, and the kid knocks it in. It's unbelievable. It's a great goal. Past the goaltender, and then right behind him is the student section for the Badgers, so he goes and immediately taunts them.
Was that Jimmy Snuggerud? No, who scored the goal?
No, I gotta find the kid's name who
Okay.
scored the goal. Zemer. I think it's Brody Zemer.
Brody Zemer, okay.
But the Snuggerud setup was beautiful, and they didn't play real well. Bob was not happy at all with Friday. But yes, Big Ten Plus, which I don't get, is where you could have watched them.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I agree.
Anyway, now, okay.
Yeah, you just go.
Most pathetic performance of the weekend. Who are you voting for? I'm going to have a surprise choice.
Okay.
The Gopher Zombies, I didn't get to see him. I saw some of it when I got home, right? I looked at some highlights. I was at a high school football game.
I saw that. Yeah.
I didn't get to see him. The Vikings, that was awful.
Yeah.
But I'm voting for the Timberwolves. I'm voting for the Timberwolves, not only playing like they didn't give a damn until the end, taking stupid shots, and then the coach, Finchie, might have had the worst day he's ever had as the Timberwolves coach. Why is he taking Rudy out of the game with 2 minutes to go when you want Rudy out there playing defense, when you're trying to protect the lead and you can't make any shots? Why, when he can't make any shots, doesn't he let Minot play 8 minutes to see if he can maybe make a shot? Get somebody on the court who can make a shot. Finchie, I don't think Finchie's having a good year. I don't think he's got this figured out yet, do you?
No, I don't. But he immediately, I guess, went into the press room and did his press conference very quickly, and mea culpas were issued for several of those moves.
Yes, he did issue mea culpas for those moves, but I got news for him. His bad mistakes last night were not restricted to the last, 2 things that he mentioned. He had a bad night. He played 8 guys again.
Yep.
Somebody's got to tell him this is early in the season. You got to start developing a bench. You don't have a bench. And it's, I don't know. He's, and they, I don't like him. I don't like him. I'm predicting this. Play-in.
Already?
Play-in. They're going to be a play-in team. if they don't get their heads removed from where they are right now. Randall, they start off the game. I saw the start of the game. 5 seconds in, he's throwing up a three-pointer. Move the ball. Do something. Try to get a bucket to start. We don't want you throwing up three-pointers out of nowhere. They were awful. Miami's got 3 other guys missing. Jimmy never plays here. He comes up with an injury because he doesn't want to get booed, apparently.
Yep.
And the other guy. But the other thing is, you're playing Miami. It should be a walkover, but that guy can coach. So you keep them in a game.
Mm-hmm.
He can beat you. He can come up with something. Plus, they got Hero who can shoot, and they got Robinson who can shoot. And God, was that a bad loss? Oh, brutal. The other team scores 95 points, and you get beat in today's NBA. Ants played like a complete idiot too. All he did was try to throw up bomb. 24 shots and 16 threes or something. I don't. It was disgusting. I'm glad I'm not among those people who have to buy tickets and go down there and watch that nonsense that you saw last night. It was brutal.
Sounds to me like there could be some late candidates that the Turkey Committee are presented with.
Yes, you're right. This was a very good weekend for the Turkey Committee.
Yes,
I'll say that. It was a fantastic, because the Turkey, as you know, 2 weeks ago when we were coming off that glorious weekend.
Yep.
The Turkey Committee was pretty much in a panic whether they were going to have any worthy candidates. I guess the Vikings had lost that weekend. What weekend was it that we thought, maybe 3 weeks ago, we thought we were the kings of the sports world there? We had the great weekend, and this was just the opposite. The Vikings, the defense was fine, but here's my question, Judd. How did Bill Belichick, very smart football guy, not a good individual, but a very smart football guy, how did he decide that Mac Jones was going to be the answer at quarterback?
He wasn't that good a drafter.
No, yeah,
he really wasn't.
And man, was he terrible yesterday, which was only outdone. So what's our breakdown on Darnold? He's got bad vision. He doesn't see a defender. What do we think? Because he's been a turnover. The reason he failed other places was he was a turnover machine, and now he's become that again. Those 2 down on the goal line were awful.
Yep.
So what do you think? What is it? He doesn't see a defender? I don't know. I can't quite figure it out.
That's been my thought. Yeah, like he has thrown passes before that he clearly just doesn't see the guy coming in. But I mean, yesterday was Jets, Sam. I mean, that was pathetic.
Yeah, it was. The first one was a little high. It didn't have to be an interception. But the last 2, right? That's the trouble is he's picking bad spots to think them, too. When you're going in for touchdowns, that's not a good time to be throwing your interceptions, that's for sure.
2 of the 3, I think, were in the red zone where they were 0 for 5. The statistics, though, go look at the box score. You think the Vikings won 47-7.
Yeah.
Time of possession, first down, 28 first downs.
Well, last week, too. Last week, too, they killed them possession-wise, and then, But you're not ready to bring out Crazy Nick yet, though, right?
Well, I said in the second half I might have, but O'Connell, I don't know if you saw his post-game stuff, doubled down. He's not going anywhere near Nick. Nick's never getting a start again.
But you don't have to come out and lie about how great he's been either. You got to say, you come out and I guess nobody gives straight answers anymore when they have to be critical. But you can come out and say, hey, this game could have been a lot easier if Sam had played like he'd been playing earlier this year or something like that. And we hope to get him back in stride here. Luckily, they're now playing the easiest part of their schedule.
Correct.
And all those people fearing the Bears.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? How do you think that drunk Soldier Field crowd was after that game, leaving that thing, after they put up a 3-spot?
We played some of the post-game stuff, like the, Packers vent line that we play. We found some Bears stuff. It's phenomenal.
Were some of them overserved when they called in?
Overserved. I mean, there was a guy that called into one of the post-game shows and was somewhere between screaming and crying.
Really?
He was so upset. Caleb Williams got sacked 9 times.
Yeah. Wow.
That's Archie, right? Didn't the Bears sack Archie Manning as a Viking 11 times?
11 times, yeah.
Yeah, okay. 9 times, pretty close.
I don't know if it was St. Paul or Minneapolis that had the photo, but that's one of my greatest football photos was Archie Manning's getting sacked, and they did a close-up mug of him, and his eyes were rolling in his head, and they got up and kept playing him too. He was the people upstairs in the concussion area would get him out of send him to the hospital immediately, and they just were knocking the crap out of him. I don't think you can compare this Bears team with that, but
9 sacks.
3 points, 9 sacks.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Has he got no mobility, or is he just a moving target? He's a pretty good athlete.
No, he can move. No, they're awful, and he's going. But how Bears is this again? To take a quarterback, high draft pick.
Yeah.
In this case, the first pick.
Not everybody can block for him.
And just basically screw him up.
Yeah. Well, now I had lunch with my son Christopher the other day, and I was saying it's impossible for him to lose one of these next 3 or 4 games. And he said, "You think it's a cinch to win in Soldier Field?" And I said, "In this case, I do, but I didn't realize the Vikings are now on a 4-game winning streak in Soldier Field. Mm-hmm. Before that, they lost 13 out of 14. Mm-hmm. I knew Something they were bad down there, but the only one they won was when Peterson went for 1,000 yards or something.
And returned to kickoff, right?
Yeah, return to kickoff. That's right. That ain't happening. But it was a pathetic ball, and it's funny. I heard a little bit of your post-game Viking vent line yesterday, and these guys would have a half a snoot full of liquor. Young guys calling up, saying what a great time they had in Jacksonville. You couldn't have drank enough to enjoy that game, could have you?
Did you see the background? That one guy, there was nothing but purple behind him.
Oh, I heard they said half the crowd was Viking fans, which I can see you going to Miami, even Tampa. Jacksonville is called the Pittsburgh of the South for a reason. It's a dump, but what the hell? I guess everybody loved it. They had the run with Coughlin, and they made it to the AFC title game, right?
Yep, Mark Brunell, right?
How many years in a row they've been lousy now?
Well, they were in the AFC title game against the Patriots in 2017 because that was the early game, the day that the Vikings got blown out in Philadelphia.
Oh,
Blake Bortles.
All right, that's right. Yeah, Bortles was
he was the quarterback.
He was, and he was like almost. He was the highest picked quarterback in that draft, right? And kind of surprised everybody. Bortles.
Yeah, I think that's right.
He didn't have staying power, that's for sure. But
no.
I forgot that. The AFC must have been weak that year. Must have been a weak year for the AFC.
I think the Jags had the lead at one point as well in that game before the Patriots came back.
Well, now, I heard somebody talking about this, and you're right. They're making this lousy team go to England twice a year, for goodness sake. You got to get on a plane. It's a mess when you go over there. Have the Vikings played good since they got back from London?
Well, they were off the next. They had the bye week, and then the Lions game that they lost, the Rams game that they lost, the Colts game. Not really, no. I mean, the Detroit game was not a bad performance, but after that, yeah, it's been.
Okay, so how about how much of the Lions game did you watch?
The entire second half. The end of the first half, the entire second half.
This coach should be institutionalized when he was doing that sideline interview with, who was doing it? Melissa Stark? Who was doing it?
Melissa Stark.
He was screaming like a maniac. Was that, I just saw a tape of it. I didn't see it live because I wasn't watching then. Was that coming out of halftime or going into the fourth period?
No, it was coming out of halftime. And but they were standing. What I don't understand is they did it right by the stands, so he couldn't hear. So he was screaming. His response is back.
It sounded like he was just screaming because he was so fired up.
No, he couldn't hear anything.
Oh, okay.
Because he was plugging his ear at one point to hear her question, and then when she stopped, he took his finger out of his ear to respond and spoke at a very Dan Campbell-esque decibel level.
Yes, he did. What a win, though! My God! And then they, well, you know, it's funny now. You're ripping a guy for missing a 56-yard field goal in current NFL times. This guy, this kicker they found in the XFL or whatever we call that league now is he had two 50-someths, right, including a winning 58-yarder.
I think that tied it up at 58, and then I think the winner was like 52.
Unbelievable.
But I mean, still, it's impressive.
Yeah, but
it's the norm now.
I'm sitting there watching the end of that, thinking, or half the fourth quarter, thinking the Vikings were wondering what's wrong with the Vikings. They're going to be tied for first. Well, not tied because Detroit has the tiebreaker, but they're going to be tied for first, and then a miracle win for the Lions. So that's
Goff threw 5 picks, Pat.
Yes, and I heard I was reading the Gamer before I went through and watched the whole thing, and it said that 3 of them were tipped. No, they weren't. One of them might have been, but they were just bad throws, but, you know, softballs that he was throwing. And this is a guy, every national story leading up to that game was Goff's on his 85% completion. He's playing great. He's the MVP, the leading. He's become a leading candidate to be the MVP. Then he throws 5 interceptions. Has anybody thrown 5 and won? I suppose it happened back in the old days when interceptions were more popular.
Probably Bradshaw, right?
Yeah. Well, back then, I mean, Van Brocklin and those guys way back, they didn't worry about them. You know, they'd throw 3 or 4 a game and still be heroic because and
guys would miss 20-yard kicks and not get cut.
Yeah, right. That's true. Freddie, Freddie was, Freddie. Ooh, I hope he can make this one from 38. Plus, they had the goalpost back in the back of the end zone, which made it a lot tougher. But, it was, I don't know, that was a horrible football game. God almighty. How would you like to have paid to there's not enough alcohol to fly down there, enjoy yourself with other Viking fans before the game, get tuned up, and then sit there and watch that? It was brutal.
I don't think they care, Pat. I think they just love It's weird because when I was on the beat and we would go to road games.
Yes.
They had some folks, right?
There'd be a couple hundred. There'd be 100 people hanging around the lobby of the hotel, and another 300 or 400 at the game.
It's crazy now.
Oh God, it is. Yeah.
It's what, tripled?
Oh, yesterday they said it was thousands.
But I mean, you go to Jacksonville, California.
There's probably a lot of Minnesota transplants too, living in Florida now, so they probably
that's true.
Went. They probably go too, and from living in the air closer. I mean, Jacksonville. If you're living in Georgia, you just get in your car and drive down there. So I'm sure a lot of Minnesota transplants. It's not all people getting on a plane, I don't think. So,
but they still travel really well compared to what they did.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about it. Unfortunately, did the time we went to Vegas, was that COVID?
No, they went last year.
Last year. Okay.
Tons of fans went. Yeah.
How
that was last
big
year.
Was? What a perfect situation that is, having the Raiders with their lousy ownership.
No one cares, yeah.
Being in Vegas because they can sell out every game. You know who loves it? The ticket brokers out there, too, because everybody, not only are you going to Vegas, you're probably paying triple for the tickets, triple retail, huh?
When's the NBA going there? That's the
supposedly, Johnny K, I was talking to him about it the other day. He thinks 2 years, Seattle and Vegas.
Okay.
But they want like $4 billion or something for the franchise. You know, I don't know. I think Vegas, somebody in Vegas will give it to them. I'm not sure about Seattle.
Yeah,
I think hockey's made its, they don't have a separate arena.
Yep.
They're not going to have a separate arena.
Yep.
And hockey's got a foothold in there now. That's it's not going to be I'm sure there's an element, bring back the Supersonics, but I don't know if it's that huge anymore. So, you got to remember, I think at least as much as the Gophers, the University of Washington is in that market too. They draw a lot of people for their sporting events, and now they don't play hockey or anything. But, I don't. But he thinks it's Vegas and Seattle, which would give our guys a chance to go to the East Division, probably.
Yes, which would be nice.
Memphis would be your competition, but I would think they want Memphis to stay there for New Orleans, in a Western thing.
Right. Yeah.
And by the way, if you're looking to buy a franchise, and the guys, if they don't get it here, they should go to New Orleans. I was watching one of their games the other night. They had about a half a house in that place. When they win, they draw a little bit, but they don't have any people left living down there, so that would be a place to go.
Right.
So anyway, we can write off the Vikings.
Okay.
Did you watch the Gophers? I could not watch the Gophers.
I watched the entire game. Entire game.
Had to work hard not to win it.
Oh, you turned the quarterback you couldn't wait to get rid of in the first half into a combination of Unitas, Staubach, and take your pick. I mean, Kelly Madness looked unbelievable. And then in the second half, he went back to being himself, and that's when the Gophers lost the game.
Yeah, they got what they've been doing is going into the fourth quarter, needing a touchdown or something to win.
Yep.
And getting it, and this time they had 2 or 3 chances to go ahead in the fourth quarter, right? And couldn't move the ball. And
couldn't move the ball. And the tight end fumbled the reception that led to the touchdown by Rutgers.
And that was at the 12-yard line or something, right? Rutgers didn't exactly have to run down the field to score a touchdown. So that I wouldn't say it was predictable that they would lose that game, but I was suspicious.
You were wise to be suspicious.
Because Schiano was a very good coach. And no matter how much, it's football, and no matter how much you tell your team, hey, this is it now. This is our big opportunity, but we got to win this one. They're not going to come out with the same level of energy. They might jump around and act like they got the same level of energy, but it's hard when you're beating better teams to show up and play your best, and they certainly did not do that. So now they got a week off and to get ready for Penn State. They'll have a nice crowd for Penn State, and everybody will be fired up, but Penn State's probably got to win that game to get in the playoff, right? So
yeah. And then they've got Wisconsin in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's awful.
Their quarterback is brutal.
Are they down to like their third QB? I think they're on like their third guy.
Did the other one, did Locke get hurt?
Well, the first guy got hurt. The first guy, I think he tore his knee up. And then I want to say, now, I'm not sure. I just know that they're terrible this season.
Well, the guy that was playing, I watched a little bit of one game. This guy named Locke was playing quarterback. He was brutal.
We're back to the Don Morton days.
Yeah, they're not good. My favorite Morton story is I'm down there doing a piece on him, walking through the trophy room there, just kind of taking a little walk through town. And we happen to be walking through which is outside the office, and we're walking through there. These fans are coming in there, and they see him coming. They all turn their heads and like look at the other way. It's like you're walking in the room with, I don't know who, but it's a criminal. They were all nobody would, and that was a great game. That was Morty versus Goody.
Yeah.
And Goody was at the end, and Morty was at the end, and I think between them they'd won 2 games that year or something. That going into that game, and there was 25,000 people max in Camp Randall, and Wisconsin ended up beating them. And it might have been Wisconsin's first win of the year.
I think I was there. Was that 90?
Yeah, it could have been. Oh, man. Cold, miserable.
I think I was, yes, cold and miserable.
Miserable, lousy day. Nobody in this day. What were you, to go down there to drink? Or
Oh, yeah.
What you do? Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I think I was served before I was supposed to be, but that's beside the point. I was still served. And, we actually stormed the field, and I damn near got trampled by the band, and you're right, no one was there.
Yeah. Oh, Wisconsin stormed the field?
Yeah, I mean, who could? I mean, it wasn't a big turnout.
So you were down. Did you have some Wisconsin buddies, or did you just go? Or
no,
what?
I think we drove down there from here.
You
just
might
to
have
drink.
been there as Minnesotans, but you stormed the field anyway. You had enough liquor in you to storm the field.
That what people don't now recall is the Gophers and the Badgers were equally as inept, and I think the Badgers in football might have been worse at the time.
Oh God, they were terrible. They were
pre-Barry. It was.
When
awful.
Barry took over, they were brutal. I think Barry was 1-10 his first year, or something like that, right?
Yeah,
he
probably was. Yeah,
I remember. And they were going to the Rose Bowl in what, 94 maybe, only like his 3rd year there or something.
Yep.
And it was a shock that this was possible.
Yep.
And they were playing in Tokyo. Remember, they played their last game of the year in Tokyo against Michigan State, I believe.
I do remember.
And if they won it, they were going to the Rose Bowl. And I went up by Danbury, some town, to watch the game with Wisconsin fans, to watch the games, to write a column. And it wasn't Danbury, but that's where I ran into the Fisher brothers. And there was 7 or 8 of them. They weren't all in there. But you'd meet one Fisher brother, and he'd be this short, stubby guy, and then you'd meet another guy, and he'd be 6'4". They came in all shapes and sizes, the Fisher brothers. And basically, they were there to watch the Badgers, and they were shocked, but they were Packer fans. And what I remember is the couple of them going, because back when the Vikings were their home team in Western Wisconsin, not the Packers. Yep. So and they only showed on Sunday you got at noon Sunday you only got the game from your own market. That's the only one you're ever going to get. Mm-hmm. Then maybe in the afternoon. But this guy was complaining that every week we turn it on, hoping we'll see the Packers, and all we get is Rat Patrol reruns.
Yes.
Rat Patrol. And the guy was bitching about Rat
Channel
Patrol. 4. I got to go find that column.
He was right.
It was a great column. Rat Patrol.
When the Vikings game would end at 3:00, Channel 4 would zap on Rat Patrol every Sunday. Drove you crazy.
Well, in Western Wisconsin, they'd already had 3 hours of Rat Patrol after the Viking game got over. And you know what? There wasn't that much drama about the Rat Patrol finish. We'd find some Germans to kick the crap out of them right at the end.
I never enjoyed that show. I didn't really get the gist of it.
But it was in the desert, right? It was in the desert, Rat Patrol.
Yes.
So, but that guy was complaining about Rat Patrol. But they can't be real happy with Luke over there because they're paying Luke a ton of money.
Yeah, no question.
Fickle, and he's supposedly his hotshot recruiting hasn't been that good. They've done a lot in the transfer portal, but they haven't gotten the right guys. They're no good at all. They're terrible.
How about your Hoosiers? They got a scare, but they won again.
They got a scare, but they were 14.5-point favorites over Michigan. Huh? I couldn't believe that. They got a scare, but they won with defense, for goodness sakes. Now they got to go to Ohio State, and that probably won't work out well, but they're still going to end up, they can't lose to Purdue, obviously. I got to hang up that phone call.
All right.
And they can't lose to Purdue, so they're going to be 11-1. They're in the field, right? They're in the 12-team field.
Yeah, I would
for
think
sure.
they'd have to be.
Yes.
Have to be. Yeah, so, but what a story. Because, I mean, they have never, I don't remember them ever. They got halfway decent a couple of times. But, like, what this guy has done in a year's time is absolutely incredible.
Oh, God, yes, it is. It's amazing. He's 60-some years old. I didn't realize that. And, but this is the first time they've really been challenged.
Yeah, which is weird.
This time. So, yeah, some coach is calling me here. I was going to try to send him a message, but Judd, what happened to Judd? I lost Judd. I can't see
Can't
Judd.
see me?
Can't. Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay, good enough. Good enough. So anyway, yeah, it's amazing. Indiana. It's they got beat in the soccer tournament here or something. I saw that they thought they had a good soccer team and they got beaten. I think my tweet was, "You'll always have football down there in Indiana."
Indiana.
You know, they got that Indiana to football deal. So anyway, yeah, it's amazing. It's a miraculous finish, that's for sure. Where did it come from? He got 13 transfers from James Madison.
Yeah, exactly.
He brought in as James Madison. It merged two teams basically.
Yes.
It's kind of like
Louis.
Kind of like the North Stars when he took the best of the Barons and the North Stars. Yeah.
It's like Louis, the most genius. Can you imagine going in today and trying to convince a bunch of owners and executives, let me take this bad team, merge it with my team. I'll pick the guys that I want to keep, and then you can have the rest of the scraps.
Yes, that people don't appreciate, if you weren't around then, what a mom and pop operation the NHL was. They had no TV money except up in Hockey Night in Canada.
Yep.
They had did they have national TV? They might throw a Saturday game on once in a while during the winter, right?
They did occasionally. I think by then it had gone away because there was an NBC package at one time in the 70s and a CBS, but I think by then it was gone.
Well, the only thing that counted was try to get everybody in the playoffs, that's where they made their money, if they could get into the playoffs. So they had 16 out of 21 going into the playoffs at one time.
And they're still at 16. They have 32 teams now, and they're still at 16.
Although, even the NBA, I did read something about them considering having a play-in, but you can't have a one-game.
Bettman doesn't want it.
Huh?
Bettman does not want to expand it. He doesn't want it.
Good for him. Well, you can't take, let's say you got 13 through 20. We're going to play each other, right? To somebody to advance. Mm-hmm. You got to play best of three, and then you got to wait a week. So it's not like you can't have them play back to back to back. So it would be a stupid idea. Bring back total goals.
Total goal series,
total goal series, yes. Which we used to have in.
You should go through a list sometime.
Yeah.
Do a column on the most incredible things that sports used to do that now you'd be laughed out of a room.
Oh yes, but you're right. But still, I've always said Herbie's greatest moment might not have been Lake Placid. It was coming back from against Notre Dame in a total goal series, and then they got beat 8-2, and then came back and won the total goal series. They beat them 9-1 or something the next day.
Speaking of a delay, do we know when our Loons are going to play yet?
No,
What is this?
I looked in the paper today. It still said TBA. It's been 2 weeks.
I got to get my paper
TBA.
out. I get my Star Tribune out.
Yeah, look there at the thing. Las Vegas.
Oh, here it is. I found it. They're going to play next November 24th at the LA Galaxy.
So today's the what?
11th.
So 13 more days?
And how long have we...
And we've waited 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
It's a month later. They're playing a month later. What do we have another FIFA break? Is that
Yes.
the problem?
Yes, this is another
Tell
international...
FIFA to go do something very immoral to itself. Tell FIFA to... Tell FIFA to... What a bunch of morons. God almighty. And now... What are they going to... We talked about this. We screamed about this a couple of weeks ago. We're going to have a winter to spring league. Yeah.
But they don't play for another 11 days.
Offer Bill McGuire $500 for his franchise. He'll take it if you know. How would you like to be financing a soccer stadium that you paid for yourself,
right,
basically, and have them say, oh, by the way, we're going to start the season in November.
Can you dome it? Can you put a canopy dome on that sucker?
Yeah, I think so. You're going to put basically like 5 franchises out of business. It's unbelievable.
I just like,
where did this all come from? Who made FIFA? Who died and made FIFA king? That's what I want to know. What kind of nonsense?
Since when can't you just say no, though? Hey, come play for Canada. No, I'm playing.
No,
I'm being paid by these guys.
And, they're the biggest crooks in the world, too. When they moved the cup to Qatar, they all got millions. The guys that were voting, they bought them all off. They're just a bunch of shysters that make the decision. And they say, oh, they thought up another tournament. I saw something about Europe. They thought up another Europe tournament to go with the Champions Cup or something. It's unbelievable.
I know.
It's so nonsensical. It's incredible.
But if
we're gonna win the world championship, and everybody will forget that we were playing.
But if you're a TV
here's
network,
stupidity too, Judd. The first round series is best of 3.
Yeah.
After that, everything's single elimination.
Yes.
What the hell is that?
Yes.
Why is not the first round series single elimination? It's I don't know. It's but we're the proud home of them, even though we can't. We need a carrier pigeon to come and tell us when they might be playing their next game. November 24th. It's the damnedest thing of all time. It's the stupidest thing ever. Anyway,
can you imagine any other sport breaking up? It's hey, we got to put our playoffs. Sorry, but the NFL playoffs have to go on hold for approximately 3 weeks while we have this other tournament.
Now I have an international group that's taken over American football. So, and let's see, who else should we be? We haven't. I don't think we properly bashed the Wolves yet, did we? I mean, we mentioned.
You started off. You bashed Finchy.
Yeah, bashed them. Awful, Finchy. Awful. That was awful, man.
And so you're saying playing team now?
I think they're overrated. I do. I mean, seriously. Randall, I'm lukewarm on him. They're not using any of their players. They're not using any bench. They don't make Edwards. Edwards is not going to make 46% of his threes for the season. He's going to end up shooting 36%. So you're going to see more nights like last night than you've seen in the past. He's not. I mean, he's obviously worked on his 3-point game, but there's got to be more to it than that. And Jaden McDaniels, my God, what are they paying him? $27 million?
Yeah, it's been rough.
He's awful. He's awful. And somebody said, well, you should stop starting him. Well, he's pouty anyway. That'll just make him more pouty, right?
Well, and Conley, I think his wrist is a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, he's. The other guy
shut him down for a while.
They're lucky. Nas has been their MVP. He's been by far their best player.
He's been really good. He's been really good.
But you got to start. Yeah, I think they ought to shut him down and let let Nah run it and then let the kid play 8 minutes a night. And it might be chaos, but now a friend of mine told me he's unplayable because he's so wild. But if you're going to break him in, now's the time, right? The first 20 games of the year. When it's,
correct.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing, why he's not using any of his bench. The whole genius. Maybe they're all worried about who's going to end up with the franchise. You think they're all worried about?
You think
these NBA
the arbitrations in the back of their head?
They're deep thinking that they get frustrated with the fact they don't know who the owner is and who's. I mean, like Jaden McDaniels is probably worried about who's going to pay him the $27 million, right?
Oh God, yeah, keeps him up night. I heard
that might be his problem. So your hockey team.
Yes.
Last night, they escaped with a point. How come it was? I didn't watch any of it. How come they were scoreless for 54 minutes? The goalie stand on his head, or didn't they do anything?
In the third period, the Blackhawks goaltender was fantastic.
Oh, really?
In the first two, they were dead. Now, I read it was because they were extremely tired from playing 2 games in California and then flying east to Chicago, and they arrived at like 6 p.m. in Chicago on Saturday and played 12 hours after. But they got 5 or 6 points. They've done damn well so far. I can't complain.
You can't complain too much. No, you can't complain too much. Although, it still drives me crazy that when they get in at this terrible time of morning or they make these long flights to the West Coast, they're flying charter. They can sleep in any place they want to. It's not like you're making 3 stops on North Central or something trying to fly over the Rocky. It's
Western?
not like you're 50-50 to make it over the Rockies, when it's,
plane lands at Stapleton in Denver and you got
Yes, yeah, right. That's true. Yeah. So, but hey, yeah, I think they're for real, don't you?
They seem like it. They seem like it.
The first 2 lines are great.
Goldie's been fantastic.
Yeah, he's good. I mean
Kaprizov's always great, but
Boldy might get 50. Great.
And Gustafson has been really, really good to his credit. Mm-hmm. He's come back. He had a bad year last year. He's been really good.
I thought they brought him back hoping he'd play pretty good and they could trade him, but they can't trade him. They can't trade him now because you told me Wally ain't doing great down in Des Moines, huh?
I got to look. I haven't looked. He got off to a terrible start there, but that was only like 2 or 3 games. So, but I mean, Gustafson's been phenomenal. So he's sticking around for sure now. This guy can coach. Hines can coach.
Oh yeah, he's impressive. I haven't been around him much. I was around him a couple of times last week. He's not a big BSer,
He's also not a roller coaster guy, which a lot of hockey folks like myself are. You get the ups and the downs and the ups and the downs. He's pretty just even keel.
Yeah, he's and he's still relatively inexperienced. He's only had 3 jobs, so
in the NHL, that's like no job.
I said that to Evason when I was at that thing. I said, "Well, this is only your 2nd job." I said, "You'll get 4 or 5 before you're done." He doesn't have much of a club, does he?
Oh no, I mean
Columbus, they're terrible.
Yeah,
they once in a while they sneak up and beat somebody, but they're not.
Well,
they're not.
And Goudreau dying. I mean, that's a whole.
Oh God, yeah, it's horrible
bad
situation. So anyhow, bad weekend, but nothing. No news on. Arbitration or
the Twins
mediation or the Twins or anything.
Your spies telling you about the Twins?
No, not at all. I think it'll be a long process, don't you? Somebody told me the only bidders are private equity firms, which want to get a baseball team as part of their holdings. So.
Now in his column on Sunday, Shooter floated that the arbitration might not go well for Glenn, so then Glenn could turn around with what he gets from the Wolves and buy the Twins.
He doesn't want to do that. Glenn is a very smart businessman, and he knows that baseball. He's 83 too. I don't think he wants to. With the uncertain future, he's taken enough heat in his life, but he had to be observant enough to see all the crap that the Pohlads took this year. He don't want to do that at age 83. You know, he did it. He took enough when he took the fall for the Joe Smith deal, which basically is protected McHale and Saunders.
Right.
And, you know, you think he's the guy that said, let's sign Joe Smith under the table? He didn't even know who Joe Smith was, you know? So, I don't.
Well, what's
Glenn
the
is
upside?
not gonna. Glenn does not want to own the Twins. I would.
What's the
bet
upside
A lot of money
for baseball?
Yeah. I don't know. TV wise, no, there's not any. You know,
Mm-mm.
and they're not. They're never going to beat the union. They're never going to beat the players. So
And that's the problem. They'll never get a salary cap,
No.
and they actually need one now.
How long is this? How long is this? When did we have our last fight? When did they have the last battle?
Was that 2 spring trainings ago?
Yeah, 2, 3 spring training.
They got off to a late spring training start,
and
right?
they signed a reasonably long contract, I think. So anyway.
I don't know how long it is,
Yeah.
but I mean they'll never get a cap, and they actually need a cap.
Oh God, yes, yeah.
A cap would help a lot of different
plus,
things.
I can't believe that, man. I've said this before, but that Manfred didn't come out and say this Ohtani deal,
Yeah,
where we're paying him all this money after he's done playing, so it doesn't count against the the Dodgers are like 11th in payroll because they're paying him. Why didn't Manfred just say no? You're charged the full length of the contract. No, I don't care what the.
or you got to close the loop.
If
nothing else.
you gotta tell them we're not letting you come to spring training with that loophole in the deal. So I'm sure that the rest of the players aren't gonna go to war for Ohtani, for goodness sakes. So, but that's stupid. They've signed. What if they try to sign Soto to the same deal? What are you going to do? So you're going to have a team. You're going to have a team paying $1.2 billion to 2 players, but they're being taxed on about $20 million a year. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I did read that question was asked, and Soto wants it all up front, basically. But yeah, I mean, you could make that attractive. It's a ridiculous business thing, though. Like for the sport, it's great for the guy, but it's ridiculous for the sport.
It is funny how now. Well, Ohtani, because of the Japan thing and the hundreds of millions he's making anyway,
right?
It was fine with him. But the fight used to be for deferred money early in the year, when free agency started, and now it's give it to me now. And teams to some degree are trying to spread it out for themselves. So
yep, exactly.
I don't know.
Hey, before you go, Patrick, tell us about your favorite place to get a car.
Oh, man, I was hoping you'd bring that up. A Valley Group of GM dealers. My guys, Jim Paul and Brett Paul, Valley Group of GM dealers in Hastings and Apple Valley. Right now, the interest rates are low and the rebates from the factories are back and good. Buick has 4 varieties of SUVs. Buick also has a new station wagon that is a Regal station wagon that is pretty novel and doing very well. The station wagon is back. Also, you can get a Hummer out there if you wanted, a Hummer EV. Man alive. Yukon trucks, the big Sierra heavy-duty trucks. They got some great salespeople out there, too, veteran salespeople. Some guys that left and came back because they realized that they were dealing with the best dealership in town. So Jim Paul and Brett Paul's Valley Group of GM dealers. My guys out in Apple Valley, and they also have a store in Hastings. Right now, still a great time to buy a new or used car. Great supply of used cars out there, too.
All right, final thoughts, sir?
What's my final thought here? So I went to the Gopher basketball game on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? Wednesday. Wasn't a very good crowd. They looked okay against Oral Roberts. Then they had to fight mightily to beat Omaha. So
I watched
that.
it.
That wasn't a good sign. And I don't know how many people they had Saturday, but they had about 4,000 on Wednesday. And as I pointed out in a column, if you missed Omaha and Oral Roberts, you can watch them play at St. Thomas in this winter as Summit League teams. But you can't watch St. Thomas play at Williams Arena where they draw 12,000 people. So St. Thomas, by the way, gave Oklahoma State a pretty good game.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah, they made a bunch of threes and gave them a pretty good game. Everybody keeps saying to me every time I write it, which is every time I write about the Gophers, that there's no upside for them. Yes, there is. 8,000 more people. That's their upside. We got an atmosphere in Williams Arena. That's the upside. Plus the 50,000 you're going to save having St. Thomas come over for $5 or $10 grand instead of $60 grand for somebody who's going to draw 3,500 people.
But they say no upside. Like, this is seen as this great, mighty program that if they were to lose to lowly St. Thomas, no one's going to care if they lose. It would be cool.
Yes, I keep saying to them, if you lose, and St. Thomas is okay, they're competitive, but you're going to go 4-16 in the Big Ten. Who are you going to fool?
The no upside from a Gophers program standpoint is the hockey. Because if Gopher hockey got upset by St. Thomas, that looks really, really bad. But Gopher hockey plays them now.
Yes. Yeah, right.
So,
everybody, the only two aren't playing them are basketball. And I'm sure the gals coach would play them.
Right.
But I don't think they're allowing her to because it would look really bad for the men if they refused to play them and the women's team was playing them. I'm sure she's pretty good, by the way. They're going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
They got a bunch of shooters.
Yep.
But I can guarantee you Plitzowite is not fearful of playing St. Thomas. If they approved it, she'd do it. She might play them home and home. What a deal.
And they
play
should.
them home and home. Then you can save all that money on non-conference games.
And they should. They should play.
Yes.
But I mean, does Ben Johnson think if he loses to the Tommies, it's going to get him fired? Because I got news for you. That's not what's going to get you fired.
No. What's going to get you fired is just Coyle not wanting to admit they've got a terrible basketball situation here and that all their NIL money is going to football.
Yeah, which just lost to Rutgers.
Although they did come up with a pretty good hunk for Dawson Garcia, although Dawson Garcia could have got a lot more other places.
Yeah, did I see $1 million? He turned down $1 million?
I'm not sure about that. But, don't you think those numbers are inflated?
Oh,
when
probably.
you keep hearing all this stuff,
probably.
I think they're inflated. So.
Probably, but I mean, still.
I wonder, what remember when free agency started and all these shyster-type guys were in stealing money from when they were getting next to baseball players, NBA players. And what do you think these guys, who are these NIL, who's
good question.
Who's assessing these?
Right.
Because we're not the NCAA is not licensing people to handle NIL money. So
that's a great question.
Tell them you want cash when you're getting those NIL deals. If I were you, young men
in a box, so. Give me cash in a box.
What do they think Paige is making? 5? Did I see that?
Oh, probably
5. Yeah, because she's
probably
number one moneymaker in women's basketball right now.
Yeah.
So the successor to Caitlin. So
absolutely.
All righty, then. All right.
We'll talk to you.
Yep.
Bye-bye.